Hello and welcome. This is my channel, The Unpopular Opinion, Becoming Popular. My name is Yana the Heretic, and this transit is going to be a really fun one for me. It is called The Gate of Shock, and the theme is the Arousing. And it'll be filtering in our field for the next 6 days, starting April 4th to the 10th of April. And the Gate of Shock is the very end, the last gate of Archangel Michael, where its counterpart, Gate 25, was the one that started this archetype, which was the spirit of the self. Gate 25 and Gate 51 are part of the channel of initiation, and our quarter that we've been in and that we will be in for 4 months is about initiating the mind, initiating new ways of thinking in our neurological system, and the ability to change our opinion, our theory, our PTSD, and to reform it into something that is new. I find that this is really amazing that this is coming through. Especially because we are firstly filtering, we're filtering, what was it, Neptune in Aries for the first time in the last 165 years. So instead of being passive, instead of surrendering to life, we are now beginning to step up to the plate to initiate really what we want in our lives with force and energy. And as soon as this was in transit, I felt it. It felt like a jolt. It felt like I wasn't going to try to be small at any point in my life anymore. All of the things that would help me move forward came through for me exactly on that day. And it's wild to do the math because it isn't like I'm acting on these things specifically because of my knowing. It's actually the opposite. I act on these things and then I know second about them. And it's really amazing to be in sync to the forces and the energies of the universe and what this stardust neutrino stream is really telling us to do to initiate movement in our lives. The Gate of Shock is exactly as it sounds. It is the gate of those that do something that's never been done. And they own it. They own that title in the universe. They're the ones that, the first Black president. They are the first Guinness Book World Record, title. They are the David Blaines of the world, the people that always constantly test themselves and test their own personal nature, and they bring something new to the world that's never been seen or done, and that's why it is a shock. If your fucking neighbor started levitating, you'd be like, well, are you human? And if you are, how the hell did you do that? Because I want to know. And it just tests our boundaries of what we're capable of as human beings on this planet, because more and more people are using this force to achieve greater heights in their own balance and grace and abilities to face their fears. And the fears are heavily about being inadequate here. And this is a fear that has nothing to do with the outside world. This has to be an internal force. The mechanical energy, the automated energy within a body to just do something before even thinking about whether or not it's wise. Therefore, it could be the Fool card in the tarot. I consider it to also be the Strength card in the tarot, because it takes a lot of courage to leap into the void, into the unknown, and to see what happens. It also says the cemeteries are lined with gate 51s, because you never know what'll happen to you when you leap and you decide to do something that's never been done. And aside from that, that's really the God mentality. It's really like, how can I test my boundaries and my strengths? Like, it's not about any tribal energy. It's not the desire to compete for recognition or anything of that nature. It's more of a personal, what am I possible? What is possible for me to do in this universe? And how can I be at the top of the highest temple next to other heroes in the universe? And yeah, there's a lot of force here. You know, Einstein had this gate, and he created the theory of relativity. So it is really just shocking the world, and testing how its fibers get affected. So these are people that can also be shocking in just communication, you know, where they say the most dark things, they say the most negative things, they react in ways that you would never expect. And it could be really taxing for most people to be in that auric field constantly. But yeah, this is the only individual gate in the ego center. And the ego center is the center of willpower and the center of our heart health and our nervous system health. So people who have this defined, their ego defined, they are capable of testing their heart and nervous system way further than anybody else can. If they don't have their ego defined, then their nervous system and heart can't hold up to the stress of potentially forcing yourself or initiating yourself into something that is unknown. And that is why people who don't have ego definition are considered to be responsible just for themselves and for their own life, and not for masses, or not be responsible for the energy of other people and the flow of other people. And if they do force themselves to initiate their own energy outside of its bounds of willpower, then they tend to have heart problems and nervous system problems and anxiety and stress. And they say yes when they should have said no, you know? If you know you're gonna faint like 20 times going down a roller coaster, maybe you shouldn't go down that roller coaster, you know? If it really frightens you and it makes you like shit your pants, like perhaps don't do that, you know, unless like you have ego definition, or if it's actually fun, you know. But take that with a grain of salt. Don't bite off more than you can chew, right? All these metaphors were developed. But being in the God mentality is all individual, right? It's not tribal. So yet again, it's not about getting support from other people. It's not about the material need. It's not about, you know, even having effect on other people necessarily. Like, it's just about testing your own shock. and what you're capable of. Although you're affecting people greatly, you know, and a lot of the time you are hoping that the other person is like down to do what you're doing, like going rock climbing or being an adrenaline junkie. So yeah, it's a really fun one. My partner has this gate, and his comes through in vast communication. Like, he's a splenic projector, and therefore his intuition, his primitive intuition, really like starts to say things that are hilarious, you know, like you don't even expect them to come out of his mouth, but it's just an instant shock and awe of like, whoa, did you really just think that up so quickly? Like, that's hilarious. These are improv type people. They just do it, you know? Yeah. And they don't feel humiliated by what they do or say. That is definitely more of a undefined ego aspect where, you know, you try to prove something. It's all about proving the ego center. And when you don't have it defined, there's nothing to prove. You don't have to prove to all of these people around you that you're capable of something, because if you don't succeed, then you're gonna be humiliated, or you're going to be seen, depending on what your profile is, you could be burned at the stake. You know, like, yeah, you're out of here. You can't, like, you know, step up to the plate, etc., etc., you know, like, so that humiliation can deeply affect you if this isn't consistent in your field of energy, because you can seem like a failure to yourself, even more so than those that have this gate defined. And yeah, this whole channel of initiation is in transit this week, and that really gives us the courage to do what is the unknown for us. It really broadens the spectrum of our courage and what we're able to do and achieve this transit. So you may find yourself getting into some shenanigans. I definitely have gotten myself in some shenanigans this week, for sure. I will be finally leaving this domain and this habitat and actually moving on to a habitat that is better suited for me in my creative field of energy. So I'm curious of what this gate makes you do and what will come from it. Just note that if you don't have this defined, don't make any long-term commitments, you know, to proving your worth or proving something to yourself. If you decide to go skydiving this week, do it this week. Maybe don't do it next week, because if you sign up this week, then next week it might not seem so fun to do. It just all depends, you know? And I think that it is a wide variety of energy and courage that can be done for you in your life. And it's really just like seeing what minute abilities that you can gain here. And if you commit to something during this week with eco definition, I just want it to be lighthearted and not something that's going to be a long-term thing for you, because that's what happens with people. If you have somebody in your field with ego definition and you don't have ego definition, you may want to absolutely initiate and act on that thing. But once you're out of their auric fields, you may not think that that's actually right for you, and you decide not to act on it. So, if you need to know if you have consistent ego, heart, willpower, you can definitely write your name in the chat and I can see if you have that. I would love, love, love to help people. Willpower is very important to know about, because if you're feeling heavily depleted in your life and you're having health issues because of that, then it could be really important to take note of where you're stressing yourself out, and just allowing yourself to do less and to restructure your life into doing less. In the lighthearted spectrum, this could be something that makes you change the structure of the foundation you're in, meaning you can finally go through that file cabinet, and you can change the systems that you enforced in the past, to shake up some of that energy and to actually have the force and the willpower to change, the structures and systems that are in place in your life. What that looks like, an example would be like going from an old technology where you're writing down, people's information and storing it in files. Maybe you want to adapt to a newer system that helps you organize, like cloud storage, whatever it may be. Maybe you're getting new equipment that helps you, that's not as outdated, or vice versa. Maybe you want to do something more vintage. Like, see what really attunes to your personal nature when it comes down to your creative forces, because that is really important. So yeah, there might be some moving and shaking around for me, and some, habitat changes. You might not see these black walls behind me, but I am excited for the new chapter. I'm excited to initiate something new into my life for the benefit of my creativity and just wholesome energy. Yeah, the questions of the week. Here we go. What type of shock have you experienced this week? Was it a big deal? Or is it a mini push into your own test of character? Yeah, what kind of shock completely changed your life? Was it something you have done? Or was it warranted from your external environment? So this week, just kind of seeing whether the shock comes from inside of you, where you're just like, this has to be done. I have to say something about this. This can no longer happen for me in my life. Or was it external? Did someone come up to you and say, hey, this isn't working, we need to change something? Yeah. Do you feel you need to leap into the unknown to know yourself? Or do you feel pretty certain of what you're capable of and not capable of? How finite is it? And how can you get creative while you shock? So this reminds me of Marilyn Manson. I'm pretty sure he has this gate, and he's all about being shocking in his creativity, and he's known for that, So who's bringing something new to the table that's never been done, and how do they inspire you? I wish you all the best transitions this week, to initiate your own character, your strength, to challenge your survival, and do it for the love of life itself. I appreciate you all, and have a great time living it up.